So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so today I will be talking first about the paper attributed to this conference at Osaka, and then about the internship at Google. Okay, so this is the same slide I presented last time. Basically that I analyze individual prices and then how the prices are aggregated. And then I told you last time that for many reasons those prices should fluctuate every day, but they do not fluctuate every day. So my goal is to build a model that simulates that data, the data about how prices fluctuate. This is the graph about how long a price remains fixed for several months. Like, even though many prices change quite frequently in the same month or last only 1 month, some prices last years without changes. And we have to replicate this data. Of course, there are spikes, which means that some prices change every year, every 2 years. But this is the point that if we take, wow, what happened to this? This line should be bigger. Oh, something happened to my graph. I'm so sorry. Just imagine that these two lines are here. And we have two theoretical models that predicts that this the shape of this curve is either flat or has a spike in one single point. And that's very far from reality. So what I built was basically build somewhat classical models in economics, but I added this element. I made that firms interact and they form a network, and by the network, the topologies of that network is what I study in this paper. This is standard economics, and I explained it last time. Basically, I modeled the way that firms make decisions, and I use agent-based simulation because to be able to take complex rules. And then I take the other elements to build a macroeconomic model. I take it from standard theory, economic theory. Okay. This is the process. I showed this last time, so I'm just reviewing. That's why I'm skipping many slides. Pricing, the network structure, and this is what I worked on. Basically, I had 3 problems with last time I did a report. The first problem was that money in theory is assumed to be neutral, but in my model it wasn't. Additionally, I made a very strong assumption that was that each firm had at least another firm that is a supplier, and that's not true. Some firms just extract raw materials, and this is a problem that I assume that my expectations are not. Most models assume that expectations are rational, and my model doesn't. So that's sort of controversial. So right, it was focused only in the data produced by each firm. I mean, I do not analyze if money is neutral or not. And the reason is that all the papers that analyze this kind of data do exactly the same simplification. So I say I will not worry about this aspect now because other papers do not worry about it. About this assumption, basically I rewrote the mathematical model. It made the model more complex, and actually the original model, which that assumption had an equilibrium which was like, it had a closed analytical form. Now it doesn't. I have to find the initial values for the model using numerical methods. But okay, I was able to do it. And I made this assumption that if I give the firms information frequently about the state of the economy, the exact shape of the expectations is not important. expectations is important to make decisions that will last for long periods of time. So this one of the simplification. Initially, all the firms have this kind of function, that the product was a function of labor and products from other firms. And now I have some firms that depend only on labor, and that firms are assumed to produce raw goods, and they have some, this is called that idiosyncratic shock, some random error. And these are some results that I found. My goal was to produce a function that was decreasing, a hazard function that was decreasing, and I showed that I contrast three different types of network structure, of relationship between one was not connected, and in that case the value is expected to be constant. And it does, when I have data, yeah, it has that behavior. But for after 5 iterations, I didn't run enough simulations. So after 5 simulations, I have no data, and basically it becomes erratic. But this part, until this part, is what I expect, constant value. For the random network, the hazard function is increasing. And if I consider the scale-free network, which is the one I was most interested in, I found that it is decreasing until this point. So I was very happy with these results, because now it resembles one of the aspects of the real data. Still, I have to do this simulation again with more iteration. Okay, this was another aspect that I wanted to analyze from the data, the distribution of price changes. The real data is supposed to have flat tails and many prices close to zero. In this case, my model failed again. I don't have flat tails, and I don't have prices close to zero. Thank you. This is the version of PowerPoint is here. What is it? And because this here I had a picture of the real data. Well, this is the frequency of price changes. Like for each firm, you calculate how often that firm changes prices. So you find a monthly average, and then you plot the distribution across all firms. And the thing is that there is a paper that analyzes that data from Europe and from the United States, and it has a distribution like this, like a bell shape. And so this actually, the data of this scale-free network is closer to that shape than the other two structures that I analyzed. But the mean is very different. The mean of the real data is close to this, close to 20% or 50%. So like the shape, in this case the shape of the function is right, but the exact value is wrong. So the general point is that I was able to generate a decreasing hazard, and for that I feel happy, but the other aspects of the data still are not modeled properly. And then we had a deadline for this conference, October 1st, and then I worked hard and I finished the full paper, 12 pages at 2 a.m. And then I was about to submit the paper, and they say that no, you don't have to submit the full paper. You have to submit an extended abstract, 2 pages. Then I have to work again, and I finish the extended abstract 5:30 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. I felt happy because I say, well, I have much more work than I am supposed to have. But I felt frustrated, like, oh, I have to work more. And I was very sleepy. Okay, so So this is about the things I have to do now. I have to do some more experiments with this model, especially change the random model, the random network, because I think in the random network the exact probability of connection between nodes is very important, and I check only one fixed value of that formula. And I have to modify my model because to make it even more standard economic theory. I want to do the following. I want to define pricing rules that that generate monetary neutrality. And after I do that, I can make analysis in the whole economy, like changes to the inflation rate. So that's what I want to do next in my research. Any questions so far? So, now we'll talk about the dual inflation.
オスカル、
はい。
3枚目かな、4枚目かな。日本語2級だから日本語でいいよ。あ、これでいいや。Are there any new data of this? Because this is 2003. Maybe almost 10 years ago.
Let me see. I checked this graph because this one was easy to see.
Yeah, I know that, but situation may be changed, so you have to think about these days.
But that's a very good point. I check many papers and they always show the same shape, and I'm sure there is data more recent than this. So I just choose this graph because it was easy to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I want to compare that this one and the latest one. You know that many things are the price of many things are these days going down. So maybe there are
2003 was already like a cake. It was already after the bubbles. From this period to now, it hasn't changed much. And the data I look is always like this. And actually, it's the same in the States, although they have inflation. They were supposed to be doing well.
This is authority data. Authority data. みんなが使う。みんなが疑わずに使う。
それ良くない。商品別が欲しいな。
Okay. That's a very good point. Thank you very much.
これ食品のってないんだよね。とか作物のってない。
Consumption goods?
You know that for example clothes and foods, maybe there's a maybe there's a different data, maybe I don't know.
There is like all the goods.
Yeah, I know that. So are there any only the focus on foods or focus on clothes or focus on cars? Or
there is some research that show that according to the sector there is heterogeneity about this. But this is aggregate. Actually, that's one of the things that I want to do.
Okay.
Now the firms I'm considering actually has some implicit heterogeneity when I consider a scale from different. Because there are firms that are very connected to others, and there are firms that are not very connected. But yeah, like you may consider like sectors, and you see that some places like energy fluctuate very often. But I'm not considering that. Not in this data and not in my model. that's a very good point. Thank you very much. Another question?
Next question, but do you know that the deadline of ASUS is postponed
Yeah.
to end of this month?
It was actually it was September, you know, and I missed that deadline.
Maybe you can submit the revised version, maybe.
That would be good.
So maybe discuss with Professor Deguchi.
Thank you. Okay. So what do we? Well, it was in a very nice place, Mari Tower. Just 6 weeks. And what did I do there? Well, first I will tell you something about the office. Well, we have like free food, free breakfast, free lunch, free dinner, and everything was very good. All you can eat, very healthy and delicious. It was really, really good. I didn't take many pictures because actually there are some regulations. They are very careful about that. If you take any picture and then in the picture there's happen to be some like delicate information, internal information from Google, I would be really nervous. They told us that the first day. So after that I just gave up on taking pictures. So the pictures I took here are usually pictures that other people took. So there are also like many. You have the main cafeteria, which is a very big one in the 27th floor, and in each floor you have like 3 small kitchens where you can go and have snacks and some drinks, coffee. There are many Doha bikers, Doha bikes, it's also free. So there are like 3 games room, 4 games room. Actually, the concept is very similar to our relaxation space, where we can have some food and also video games and a place to sleep. It's quite similar to that. Well, Google has much more money, so it's much more bigger, and it's the same concept. So I feel it was not so different from being here in university. There are several club activities, also like in a university, and actually I joined two of those clubs. Yeah, they also have flexible schedule. It felt a lot like being in a university. The normal schedule was from 9 to 6, but they say the core time is from 10 to 4. The idea is that you should go when other people go also to the office so that you can discuss with them and meet the people who is working in the same project. But some people arrive after lunch, some they're very late at night, and some people arrive early and leave early too. Okay. Yeah, I like this book because I can configure both of my screens vertically, and it was very, very nice to work with that. And the view from my window, like they have a very nice architecture, like a centralized system for storing all the code, and a special build system for the software, and many internal information, a site, a wiki with a lot of tutorials about how to program in Java, about how to build for application for Android, about all the internal technologies that they use. This is about my project. Basically, I worked with geolocation, like Android devices, it can detect your position, and some applications may have access to it. And not only GPS, like they can calculate your position based on the cell towers you are close to and the Wi-Fi networks you may be connected to. So actually, one of the goals of my project was not to use GPS because GPS consumes a lot of battery. That's one bad point. And the other bad point is that the precision of GPS is very high. So nobody a lot of people is really concerned about someone else knowing their position between 20 meters of accuracy. So that poses a very big privacy issue. So we were doing like also a little bit of market research, like checking others' applications, what they are doing. We developed some applications, and we also test the application, give it to people inside Google. Like, it's one of the nice things I learned that was when you give we don't call it like alpha version, we call it dog food. And the expression, I don't remember the expression in English word, but it was something like, if you want to sell dog food, you have to be able to eat it yourself. So this when you have some preliminary releases of software, Googlers, people who work inside the company, have to try them first. And if they say it's okay, then it's really the goal. Oh, the goal of my project was use this data to improve commuting, and the details are undisclosed, because this is protected by an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So, the people I was working with, this is we are 3 interns, and we were making a presentation about one event. Like, we went to have like a kashuku, like one night in Atami, and after that we had to do a presentation telling what we did there. We were having dinner here, like you pick all the food you have, you may have. This was on Friday, so Friday we had sushi. And this is my boss. He's a guy from Poland, but he did his PhD in the United States and many publications. He was a professor in Alabama State University, and then left academic to join Google. This is that event in Atami. Like, we went to this very nice place, quite expensive. Yeah, it looks expensive. Like, the room had one of these massage chair, like the one that you can see in Don Quixote, for free. It was like this. You go there, you call in the afternoon, then you have lunch, then you have onsen, and then you go back, and you are free to do whatever you want. But all these people they love programming, they are geeks, and then they go back to program until some of them fell asleep while programming. Well, these are some of the fun activities that you have. I joined the juggling club also. Yeah, well, actually I really like it. So actually I didn't like to practice, and I learned to do this and whatever. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I did it like almost every day for at least 5 minutes. And also salsa club, and everybody, I'm Colombian, so I'm supposed to be very good at salsa dancing, but I am not. So I joined this, and I was like beginner learning. It was a lot of fun. And we have every Friday this event called TGIF. TGIF means Thanks God It's Friday. It's basically a party every Friday. And we had free beer inside the company from 5 to 6. We also, there was one that was very special. It was the anniversary of moving to Roppongi, and that day was summer, so they told us, hey, come use yukata. So many people use yukata. It was very, very nice. And that's all I have to say about Google and about my research. Thank you very much.
喋れないことあると思うんだけど、あるよね、いっぱい。
Yeah, basically, details about the project are you
No.
undisclosed?
I want to know about the OS.
The what?
OS, operating system.
Oh, I think I can say that. Basically, when they ask me, you can choose between Windows and Google and Linux, and they have a special version of Google, of Linux, which is based in Ubuntu. And actually it's called Ubuntu.
噂は本当だったんだ。
I don't know how
No, there's no Chrome OS.
Yeah, it comes by default with both Firefox and Chrome. And Chrome, the web browser. The Chrome OS, as far as I know, is still a project and is still intended only for laptops. So actually, like, there is a place at the tech shop, and you can go there and just say, hey, I need a laptop. And then they give it to you. I need a monitor, whatever. And so we had to do that a couple of times, go for laptops. And the options were Windows and Google too, so.
No Mac?
I know I saw a lot of people working with Mac, but they were the people from the webmasters.
Okay.
They do design and they love Mac. But for software developers, it was almost always Linux.
You know that I have a friend who works at IBM. You know that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, IBM finished making a laptop ThinkPad. Or big, you know, the 5 or 6 years ago, ThinkPad is made by IBM, but now Lenovo. After cutting the section of making laptops, many people changed their laptop to Mac in IBM. So there are many people using Mac in IBM. Yeah. And one more is,
Yes, sir.
there are many Android smartphones.
Actually, the company is really putting a lot of effort in Android. Like my project was related to Android. Like when you enter Google, there's the logo of Google, and there is a toy Android this side, like in the hackathon. At the end there was some contest with some question, and the prize was some small Android toys, not the mobile phone. Like I think all the full-time employees get a mobile phone Android. Yeah, they are putting a lot of effort on Android. They gave me one to grab, just as a loan, just to test the software that I was developing. Yes.
What is your grade after graduation?
First I have to grab. Okay, so I have, basically on Monday, I had an interview, and I actually had 2 interviews, but I expected only one. So I had an interview, and in 1 month and 1 month and a half, they will tell me if they offer me a full-time position or not. If they offer me a full-time position, I'd love to continue that company. The company is really, really good. Like, actually, it's official. There is a ranking of the Nikkei, and it says best places to work in Japan 2011. First one, Google. And I think the flexible. You know, inside the company you can dress whatever you like. In summer there was a guy wearing jinbe, and it's very, very relaxed. Very, like, you are tired, there are many places to take a nap, so you go back to work later. And I really like the company. So if I can do it, I would take that option. If I don't get a job, I have to go back to my country, and so then I would like to be a professor because I like research. But that's what I'm doing at least. Thank you.
帰るってドクターどうするの？
Tell me again?
ドクターはどうするの？ドクターディグリー。
I think what do you mean?
絶対分かってる。
You said that if you can't get the job, you go back to Columbia.
Yeah.
How do you doctor degree?
Well, I hope to, even if I cannot graduate on time, at least finish all the requirements for graduation. Submit the 2 papers and do so that later I can just do the presentations and get the degree.
So So you don't extend the.
The exact procedure with the university, I'm not sure about it. One thing is sure, I have a scholarship, and the scholarship will end in 2012. So after that, I will have no money. So if I don't get a job, I cannot stay. You know, Japan is expensive.
そしたらドクター取れないですよ。
No? Oh, but you know, I have a friend and he takes some like Kyugaku.
休学すると論文が出せないよ今度。
Oh.
If you use the 休学 option, this means that you take a rest.
Yeah.
This means that you don't research anything. So laboratory cannot pay you, or you know that the conference fee or do by yourself. But laboratory don't care about you during your 休学 time.
I see. But I think that's like the best option.
海外審査ってできるんでしたっけ東工大って。いないとまずいんだよね多分。
論白？
論白ってどうなってるの？東工大の論白。
知らねえな。
論文だけ出したか。
あ、あれか。
単位取得大事。
論文博士は博士号を持ってない。
すごい。いや論文出す以外ない人が。
いやだから論文出せないから。論白は大変ですよ。
すごい狭いか。
論白だから取得のあれが満たしてないから論文だけ出して審査してくれっていう。俺は論文博士の力があるかどうかを審査してくれっていう飛び級オプションで超頭が良ければ通るんだろうけど、なんだろう、多分出口先生経済論白ですよね
あ、そうなの？
わかんないですか？
コースじゃない？
だって教授で取ったんですよね、准教授。
あ、そうか。
助教授で取ったから多分論白じゃないかな。
論系はきついんだよね。
6万円ぐらいかかるんだよ、論白って。
あ、審査に。
落ちてもですか？
まあ普通落ちるんだけどさ、よっぽどいいもの書かないと。
コースで行った方がいいし。
そう、普通にやった方がいいんだよ。論白だから忙しい社会人とかが使ったりするんだけど。
なんか嫌がってる。
There's no regulation about getting doctor. Just please judge my doctoral thesis. But very narrow. 超厳しい。
I guess like if you have communications with CC,
どうしたらいいの？で Google で雇われてどうすんの？
if I work for Google,
どうすんの学生は？
what do the people who is working in STEM at the same time do?
ないよそれは多分。
Yeah?
働き行く人は辞めてるよ大学。
本当ですか？
うん。
社会人ドクターって
社会人ドクターに別だもん。もう一回社会人ドクターに入学しなきゃいけない。そんなオプションあったらみんな卒業生しないで就職していくよ博士いたら。
What was doing like who was enrolled in the doctoral course?
Because that he didn't straight from, you know that after he works, he get the job, and he worked several years. Then he enter as a 社会人 doctor. But in your case, you are now at the doctor course. あれいつもあれですよね。多分単位取得退学して後から論文出しますよね。
私もなんかそんな社会人。
あれ2年以内でしたっけ？
私のもう私ずいぶん昔だった。多分同じ。
I don't know the rule of this faculty, but if you get the job at Google, maybe you have to finish your doctor course next March.
Okay. That means there's no way like Kyugaku or something like that.
Because that you have 2 ID cards, Google and Titech. As you know that the Titech account is normal student ID card, not 社会人 ID card. Your position is normal doctor course student.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know. Maybe ask Deguchi sensei, but usually I think almost all students finish the doctor course. They enter the company and come to the lab weekends or like that. And maybe 2 years is a limitation to submit a doctor's thesis after cutting your doctor.
Is that possible?
でもほとんどの人は出せない、仕事が忙しくて。よくあるのは大学の先生になるから辞めて論文書く人は多いけど、普通の仕事して論文書くのは結構きついと思うよ。だから Google にあとは聞くかだよね。その半年待ってくれるのか、もしよかったら。
No, but anyway, if I settled in the wait for half a year, then I would be half a year without income. That would be really hard.
あともう一個残念なお知らせは、もう3月に卒業できないよ。じゃなくて、もうできないの。もうだから予備審昨日だから。3月卒業のための審査が今週予定されてるから、それには申し込んでないから、3月に卒業できない。どんなに頑張っても。だから次の最短は6月だね。その辺も考えないと。ドクター取らずに帰るのはもったいないんじゃないですか。
About research about Google, about juggling.
オスカルもそんなジョーク言ってる状況じゃないよね。グッドラックしか言えないよ本当に。
プログラマーや。
Yeah, my internship was as a software developer, but there is internship also as a webmaster, basically for people from design. There is also people working in sales, and then they don't need to know any programming. There is a special program, I think most people should know about it. This is called BOLD, BOLD. And that's a program for undergrad students, for female, only for women. Actually, I met a girl from Toko Rider called Wakana. I forgot her last name. It's a girl from Toko Rider, an undergrad, 4th-year student. Let me say. Yeah.
How many Japanese leave work?
I think about half of the people is Japanese. Right. But there are many foreigners. And as far as I know, all the Japanese people that working here speak English. So sometimes not fluently, but they can speak, they can communicate a lot. Actually, I asked for the numbers, and about 300 people applied for the internship, and about 30 were accepted. So some 1 out of 10. So it's not so difficult. I expected the number to be higher.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the last presenter will be
Morning, everybody. Today, I'd like to speak about paper I read. First, I will consider about company's customers relationship management through SMS. And it's divided into, he says it can be divided into these 4 patterns. And I think when we consider about making prediction to get new clients, the diffusion of information may be important. So I read a paper about diffusion of information. The title is Modeling and Simulation of Information Diffusion, Considering Information Diversification. Background of this paper is quantity of information and types of information is so increasing recently. In this 10 years, selectable amounts of information becomes 530 times. And the consumed amount of information becomes 63 times than 10 years before. So, in this paper, the purpose of this paper research is that examine the influence of individual by simulation. And maybe maybe 1960s or 50s, Friedman claims that when information gap becomes smaller, influence and ability of decision making becomes homogeneity. So it means that if available quantity or types of information increase, influence and ability of decision making also increase. And this claim considered true after 1960s. For example, in Rogers' model, innovator has more information than other individual, and they have great influence. But it is appears that the claim is not true. And to examine this problem, actual research needs too much cost and time, or we should consider culture or environment of information. So in this paper, they made mathematical model and do simulation. Prior research of diffusion model is such as sparse model or critical mass model and path dependence model. But this is very famous models there. But this model treat only one or two types of information. So, so in this research, they propose the model that describes diffusion of many types of information in a group. Yes, I explain about model of this paper. Agents are AI from I equal from 1 to n, and types of information is BI. Maybe. And keepable information is CI. And this is an image of agents. For example, agent AI can keep 8 information. And types of information is B1 and B2 and B3. And agent A2 can keep only one information, one type of information. And this is probability of diffusion. If Cj is bigger than probability of diffusion from agent AI to agent AJ, and Cj is bigger than Ci, probability of diffusion is this. And otherwise, so Ci is bigger than Cj, probability equals 1. And in this simulation, there are no networks. So they interact randomly. And in this simulation, in this paper, they want to know how the individual, how influence the individual has. So they define the influence from AI to AJ about information BK, and influence sigma I of AI about information BK. And influence is so.
What's DRJ?
After
What's DRJ?
maybe そうちょっとちゃんと聞けなかったんですけど、ディスタンスかな。ちょっと
Distance is bigger than 1.
There's no network. So how to get the distance?
Distance means when A1 has information BK and information goes this way, and finally, for example, A5 has BK, and this BK comes from A1. So the influence of A1 is here. And and first they reconstruct prior research. This is figure of bus model. This one is time steps, and here's amount of adapter. And in this simulation, they divide the individual into 3 parts: innovator, early adapter, and follower. And in this simulation, innovator is 2 people, and they can keep 100 types of information. And early adapter are 14 people, and they can keep 10 types of information. And followers are 84 people, and they can only keep one type of information. And result of the simulation is here. this shape is typical shape of bus diffusion model. This line is step, and this line is total amount of adapter. And this figure describes inference for information diffusion. This line is innovators inference, and early adapters inference, and followers inference. This is average line. When we see this, we can see innovator has the most influence, and they could reconstruct bus model. Next, path dependence model. This model describes when the competitive products appears like Blu-ray or HD DVD. It describes which will win. And this model says winner will determined by randomly phenomena at the early stage. And this is called locking effect. And when the amount of adapter above this line, then winner will determine. And this paper's simulation, innovator have information B1 or B2. It means there are two innovators in this simulation, and one of them have only information about B1, and the other has only information about B2. And they did 5 billion steps. This is sample of when B1 wins, and this is when B2 wins. In this case also, this is the inference, figure of inference. And in this simulation, innovator has also most large influence. In bus model and path dependence model, there are one or two types of information, and innovators have large influence. But in this paper, they consider about when the many types of information appears. What happens to influence? So this is this is the simulation. At the beginning, all agents have information fully and randomly, and types of information is M, and simulate the case field M from 5 to 50 and many M from 50 to 250, and they did 5 million steps, and configuration of agents is like as path model or path dependence model. And this is result. This figure describes this line is total amount of types of information, and this line is influence. In this simulation, influence is reversed. Early adapter has more influence. And why that happens? That's because innovator can keep many types of information, but each steps they diffuse different types of information, and because early adapter and follower can keep few types of information, diffused information changes easily, and diffused information stays not, and opportunity of diffusing to other agent is decreased. But on the other hand, early adapter has lower capacity of keeping information and more influence from followers than innovator. And when one information gets majority, early adapter can narrow the information type. So opportunity of diffusion to innovator and opportunity of diffusion to innovator is higher than followers. So early adapter has more influence than innovators. So diversification of information cost decreasing influence of innovator, and it is caused because innovator cannot control which information to diffuse, because value of information becomes even, and they call this flat rise. So then, what happens with the innovator not flat rise? So they choose one innovator and give him one type of information to maximum of capacity. It means one innovator can keep 100 types of information, and there are in this simulation there are 200 types of information, but one innovator has only one information. And this is result. This line with square describes innovator who doesn't flatterize. And this line is total amount of types of information and influence. And in this figure, circle is not flatterized innovator, and this is flatterized innovator. And not flatterized innovator has great influence. So this means flatterize caused the decrease of influence of innovator. And lastly, future works of this paper they wrote. In this simulation, they can diffuse at one step only one information. So maybe if they can treat more information at one step, it will be fun. And research why flatterize happens. And in this simulation, they don't consider about network structure, so consider about network structure. That's all. Thank you for your attention. You have any question or comments? Yes.
Maybe can you explain more detail about the process of what is keeping information, what is the information, what is type of information from data, like your model?
Yes, this one.
How can the information be used for working into another data? Can you explain the process?
This is 完全グラフでパーフェクトフィギュアス complete graph, and they choose random pattern, and innovator can keep 100 types of information. So C1, CI of innovator is 100, and early adapter can keep 10 types, only 10. So C1 for early adapter is 10.
How many the composition of innovator, early adapter, and follow in this situation?
Small Japan, but innovator is 2, and early adapter are 14. Corolla 84. And last simulation, they change this parameter, the amount of types of information from 5 to 250. They count that when the information is diversified, innovator lose their ability to influence to the other.
Questionに、ちょっと後ろ。そう。Like innovator and get after have both information of B1 and B2.
In this simulation, innovators are 2 people, and one of the innovator has information of B1 only, and the other innovator has the other information. So at first, only 2 agents has information, and they diffuse their own information to the other agents.
Innovator have 100 B1s, not mixed.
Not mixed.
And early adapter
Has no information at first in this simulation.
Then they improve. They may have mixed information. They can keep 10 information. So
They may have mixed.
okay, so what the left graph means?
これは、一応日本語で言っちゃうと、確かでもその情報を採用するかどうかの基準ちょっと忘れちゃったんですけど、確か多い方の情報を採用する。で、採用したのの割合。
Decision
of
not
agent.
information.
多分そうです。多分情報じゃなくてエージェントの割合。この多数ディペンデンスモデルがある一定まで最初の 最初の動きはランダムなんですけど、最初はランダムな現象でこう上下するんですけど、ある規定を超えちゃったらもうシェアの逆転はないですよっていうのを説明できた、まあ、再現できたっていうのがこのシミュレーション。
Trivia. So for us, we can keep one information, only one information. So this is really alternative.
そうですね。
Okay, if there is no question, we Sigal-san has already finished step. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we plan to make next schedule for our seminar.
Chairman for the next seminar, who is the presenter for the next seminar? I am the chairman.
Yes, Uwe-san as the chairman. And who is the presenter for the next seminar? But we have already determined, no?
No.
So we can choose now. Please choose the presenter.
So I think one doctor and two masters is good. Candidate.
Okay.
And one, yeah, person. So there's some member that don't know much about this. So give a short introduction by yourself and your research and your current status of research. And one more master's student. Very good. Do you need a presentation rehearsal for talks? One more student.
Yes. Ready for
So
we have
next
to-
presenter is the next seminar Manaha. To prepare your materials and
Monday.
until Monday.
Thank you. There is other announcement from Rebecca. The next seminar. Oscar-san, should you be the chairman for next seminar?
Please.
ゼンターも決めといたら。
プレゼンターは
これはやる。
Okay, we choose next. Start with we choose now. Okay. Moya-san.
Are you want to do?
その次にしたい。
Okay, the next seminar, the chairman is Osaka-san, and the presenter is Ota-san, Maya-san, and also one more, Uwe-san. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, there is another.
じゃあ掃除は1時間からで。
ゲーミング動画。
掃除の後でいいよ。
でも買い出しとかだけどどうしようかな。どうしましょう。
帰ってこれるでしょだって。
買い出し帰ってきたからいいですか。
うん。だって1時間かかるの。
私の車。
今日ダメですか。
あ、ないです。
車検に出す。
この後
じゃあそうなんです。延期で。明日とか。あ、車検って結構長い。じゃあまあとりあえず
来週は大丈夫ですか。
アマゾンって100円切んないよ多分。ジュース。
じゃあとりあえず延期って感じで買い出しも。じゃあ掃除は1時半からでお願いします。で掃除した後にゲーミングを。